back in the car for another chat. Don't know how well this is going to go or how long it's going to last, but it is just something that I just feel the need to do. Golly. Man, this week has been crazy. So there is obviously some stuff happening, and a lot of ignorance and fear-mongering. And I think social media is really... Man, social media is no joke. So the other day I was looking at stories, right? And someone posted this story and it says, Trump bans rights on flights for wheelchair users. And I was like, okay, there's no way. There's no way. So what I did was I researched it. Like, you should. And what happened was last year in December 2024, the Biden admin put in this whole thing like rights on flights for wheelchair users. Well, then the airlines pressed charges against it. And so because there's an active lawsuit, they can't uphold what was put into place. So all of those things are on hold while they kind of come to an agreement, which, knowing the Trump administration, it's not going to be in favor of people with disabilities. But that's why it's important that we write in and that we say, hey, this is why this is here. This is how this impacts me. Especially, like, I'm a worker with a disability, right? Like, I work full time, I pay taxes, I do the things. So I have to fly to travel for work. I need these flights. And that's what I wrote in. I'm like, I'm off Social Security disability. I'm a contributing member. Like, thank you for not touching the Workers with Disabilities Medicaid program. Like, and it's crazy how people get so angry, number one, over politics. But number two, so obviously I post about this, raise awareness, all the above, like, unapologetically. And the first thing people say is, well, you voted for him. This is what you get. FAFO, as in fuck around and find out. Da da da. And I'm like, no, that's not. Come on now. I'm literally calling, like, number one, in a democracy, you're not gonna like every single policy that a candidate stands for. And when you vote, you have to make an educated decision on what's the best one for your values, your morals, your life, right? And I read both sides when voting, and one side just favored more with what I wanted out of life and what I was after, where the other side favored less. And some people only see what they want and they're not seeing what they don't, and they're not willing to call out when things aren't right. And that's what I did. I called out, hey, this is what's happening. This is what we can do about it. Here's who you contact. Here's a template that you use to contact them, and write in why this doesn't work out and why this isn't working for you. And so I came up with a template. I found the contacts. I did the research. I actually, like, fact checked the whole nine, right? And then I post to raise awareness. And it's, well, you voted for this. You were celebrating when he won, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah. And, like, I still do. It's neither here nor there. Like, at the end of the day, I'm learning politicians are politicians. No different than when the other politician got in office. This one isn't doing most of the stuff he said he was going to do, right? And he's doing some of it, but not all of it. And I think it just goes to say that, like, in politics, you're never going to fully get what it is you want, because there's not a single human being that you agree with through and through 100%. I've never in my life met someone that I agree with 100% of the time, no disagreements at all. And I'm sure you can say the same. So I don't know why we're in this crazy climate where people can't agree to disagree and realize that, hey, we're not always going to have the same opinions. But even if you disagree with someone, you work together on the things that matter. And it's really just a big lesson to life, right? Of, are you so tunnel visioned and narrow-minded in your view of the world that you're unable to have any perspective of anyone else, any other perspective, any other idea, the whole nine, because your view is so narrow and you're so locked into your views that you're not willing to hear outside views. Like, a lot of people think that I'm this far right conservative. Like, actually, I'm really middle of the road. I'm here for live and let live. Like, you want to be gay, go be gay. You want to be trans, go be trans. You want to be a freaking furry? I think that's where I draw the line. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I think that we have kind of swung really far the wrong way. And like the furry thing is wild to me. There's litter boxes in schools right here where I live. Because people, like grown humans, use a litter box. Like, I think that there's also mental illness. and I think at some point we're accepting mental illness as normal. And again, that's my opinion, and I'm allowed to have my opinion just as you're allowed to have yours. If you're like, yo, that's who they are and that's what they are, that's cool. That's cool. You know, I openly talk about the fact I had an abortion at 15, and I'm grateful I wasn't a teen mom. And now there's teen moms out there all day, every day that get it done. Wasn't the path for me. Instead, I got paralyzed, whole different path. And now I pray that God allows me to become a mom. I hope that I didn't ruin that opportunity, right? But I mean, I openly talk about these things. I was addicted to sex for a very long time. It took me getting paralyzed to really learn to love my body, love myself, and stop seeking validation and love from outside sources. And had I not been willing to, one, actually deep dive into who I am, but two, listen to other people's perspective of the world, so I was able to deep dive, so I could come to myself and my actions objectively, right? And not have such judgment over the way that I chose to live my life in my younger age. And I think that this really, it overlaps. It really overlaps. This political climate that we're currently in and the way we view ourselves really overlap. And if you are so narrow-minded and you don't have an open mind to see outside of where your current perspective is, a lot of times it's going to be really hard to heal your soul from the things you've been through. Because a lot of times we've been through some things. Every human's experienced something at some point or another that's just been earth-shattering in their world. You know, I think of my partner, his son had cancer, and going through that, and then going through divorce and losing everything from his actions. And had he not looked at it objectively, he wouldn't have been able to heal from it. Me and the actions I took before I was paralyzed, like forget the paralysis part. I think about who I was before I was paralyzed and the actions I took, which landed me to getting paralyzed. And like, I had to forgive myself for that because I was the creator and destroyer of my own life. I think about Bree, you know, Bree, she was drinking and driving, and it's like, we have all these situations that if we aren't able to look at them objectively, we will hold so much judgment and hate towards ourselves that it makes life miserable. A lot of times when you look in the mirror, that reflection, dude, that's the hardest critic on you, is that reflection in the mirror. We look at ourselves sometimes and we are the ugliest to ourselves. And I really started looking through the lens of, all right, number one, and I think it was either Andy Priscilla or Ed Milet who said this. It's like, act like a camera is following you everywhere you go. And so, like, I've lived with that mindset, like, oh, Big Brother's watching, just because it forces you to actually show up and do the things you need to do. But then number two, you know, if you wouldn't say it to a friend and you wouldn't say it to someone you care about, you shouldn't say it to you. And so often we just put ourselves down and make ourselves out to be a worse human than we could ever think of being in reality. I think one of the main ones that is easiest to kind of address is when you call yourself stupid, right? It's like, I'm so stupid. Don't do that. When I stopped doing that and I stopped speaking that into life, I realized, I'm actually really intelligent. I knew that was going to happen. Here we go. If anyone has a mount idea for the vehicle, please drop that in the comments because I need a better mount. This one does not hold anywhere in the car, and I literally am like driving so slow, no jerky movements. But this is just the most convenient because I spend so much time in the car, like between driving to the airport. Right now I'm driving to my parents. NASCAR is doing a YouTube feature on me, and so they're coming and interviewing me at my parents' house, and then I'm taking my parents to the race tomorrow because my story before I was even born started with a NASCAR race, you know, and man, it's just so cool. When you're able to forgive yourself, you're able to actually go and create the life it is that you want to live. And life gets a lot better, dude. It gets a lot better because you're not so busy beating yourself into the ground for what you did or didn't do, the way you did or didn't show up. And again, that perspective, you give people a lot more grace. Like, I give human beings a lot more grace. I recognize, when people say hurtful things, a lot of times it's not a reflection of me, but a reflection of what they're battling with internally. The internet's a very interesting place, and this is kind of where we started, and I want to wrap it back up to that. This is a short little 10-minute-er. The internet's a very, very interesting place, and I think it's interesting how we believe everything we see on socials to be true when a lot of it's manufactured. A lot of it's AI these days, and you need to learn to look at life objectively, but it really starts with you being able to view yourself that way. And if you can't view yourself objectively, it's a lot harder to view the world that way. So that's what I have for this week, guys. Golly, we're 2 for 2 right now. I'm so excited because this is something that's been on my goal board since the beginning of the year. We are now in October. It took me to Q4, but we're doing it. My goal is to podcast consistently, bring you guys just what's on my mind, my heart, what I'm dealing with. Being a content creator for as long as I have, I've really learned to get thick skin and realize that, not everybody's going to like me. I don't like everybody, can't expect everybody to like me. And so I can't take the hate and the negativity a certain way, because I guarantee a lot of you MFers would never say this stuff to my face. You would never come to my face and say half the stuff you do in my comment section. So, no skin off my back. Again, it's a reflection of you, not a reflection of me. And your opinions are valid as well. You're allowed to feel the way you feel. So you wanna spread hate, keep spreading hate. I'm not gonna do that. I'm nothing but love. Even when I disagree with someone, I don't call them names. I don't cuss at them. I just think it's so important. The words that we put out in the world really come back to impact one person, and that's ourselves. So be careful about the words that you speak into existence, and go make today great. What are you going to do to change the world? Comment down below. See you soon.